got to spend some time with my mother-in-law and sister and brother-in-laws in Kansas for a few days. And we got back like literally pulled in like minutes before our big snowstorm hit. So thankful for that. Anyone else? All right. Well, I will jump right in then. How many of you guys have read the book Atomic Habits? Any of you? Okay. It's a really good book. I've been re-listening to it. I've listened to it once before, and thought it would be a good one for me to just re-listen to again. And thought I would just bring to you guys some things that that book talks about that I think could be really relevant to your business and your life. If you guys haven't read it, it's a really good one. It's an easy listen. I would highly recommend that you get that one. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. But he talks about habits being the compound interest of self-improvement. And we talk about this a lot on our calls here about the little habits stacking up to turn into the big things. But his real big kind of catchphrase is to just be 1% better. So 1% better today than you were yesterday. What is something in your business or your life that you can do to be 1% better today? And if you do something to make yourself 1% better every day, overall, you'll be 37% better at the end of the year. And that's huge. I mean, if you think about your business, if you can just make a shift that makes you 1% better in your business every day, being able to be 37% better by the end of the year. I think a lot of times we get caught in the really big goals, kind of our end destination. And it's important to have goals, but it's really in the daily habits that we achieve those goals. And he referenced like a sports team, football team, right? Their goal is ultimately what? Yeah, Super Bowl, making it to the championship game, right? Depending on what level we're talking about here. It's that big game. But just wanting to be to the big game isn't going to get you there. It's in what? What's going to get you to the big game?
Practice.
Yep. The reps, the practice. The things that seemingly seem boring and repetitious are what's going to get you to that end goal. So I really like his mindset shift around let's not just focus on the goal, let's actually focus on the little habits that we're doing day by day that are going to help us achieve that goal. So that whole concept of just getting 1% better every day. He also said something that I thought really stuck with me, that just made me kind of have one of those aha moments. And that was every action that you take is a vote for the person you want to become. So in your daily actions, doing those boring things, right? Getting up, working out, getting up and making your phone calls, all of that. Every time that you do that, that is a vote for the person that you want to become. And it talks about really just every time that you show up in those small little habits, you're reinforcing a new identity. He really prefaces to like you have to become that person. You have to start thinking like that person. So if you want to be an agent who closes 4 transactions a month, 48 deals a year, you have to start thinking, what would an agent that closes 48 transactions do today? And then start making those small adjustments and small pivots to start being that person who closes 48 transactions. And keeping in mind that the little pieces, the little things that you're doing aren't going to show up. There's this whole theory he talks about. It's a plateau of latent potential. How many of you guys have started working out about 2 or 3 weeks in? You're like, this isn't working. Or started a diet, made some phone calls, and you're like, this isn't working. And you just give up. I'm going to So I'm going to guarantee it, probably everybody on here has, right? We start looking, we want that, especially in today's society, we want those immediate results. And when we don't see those immediate results, then we just quit. But there's this whole like compound effect that's happening and this latent potential. So you're plateauing, and then all of a sudden the results come. So you quitting at week 2 or week 3, you could have been just at the edge of that plateau where you were going to start to see the results coming. But it's in those daily actions, that boring feeling like we're getting nowhere, having to hang on to that feeling. And then all of a sudden things just click. Have you guys felt this in your business before where you actually started taking actions and you're like, I don't really know if this is working, but whatever. Matt told me to, Audra told me to, someone else told me to, Virginia told you to, Brad, whatever, right? Like you just keep moving through the motions, kind of more because someone else told you to and you don't want to let them down. And then all of a sudden, like stuff just starts showing up and you're like, oh, that was actually kind of easy or easier than I thought. Or maybe it came, it starts coming at you and it felt boring and you wanted to give up, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, this does work. So as you're going through all of those little steps that are boring and monotonous, just really being able to hang into and hold on to the fact that you're just in that plateau of latent potential. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen now, but when it does happen, it's not like you're going up this steady trajectory. It's like you're kind of going like this, and then it goes like this. So it's slow but fast. Kind of like what was the analogy used? Laying bricks. When you start laying bricks to build a wall, at first it just seems like, oh my gosh, this is getting nowhere. Or like yesterday, I was peeling off wall tiles off my wall and there was glue everywhere. Oh, it was a mess. It was like removing wallpaper glue, basically. And it was like, this is not working. I kept spraying the Goo Gone on there and then wiping it down. It would take off one layer and then I'd have to do it again. And then it would take off another layer, right? It just felt like this is not working. This is not going to take this off. And then all of a sudden, 4 hours later, there was no more glue on the wall. The same thing, laying bricks in a wall, right? You're just laying it and you're not seeing the end product until you get up towards the top. And then all of a sudden you stand back and you're like, oh, look, I made the wall. Have any of you guys had an example you can share of that plateau of latent potential where you've done something, felt like it wasn't working, but stuck to it and then started seeing results? It doesn't have to be business either. I know I had that with a past team of mine who just, you guys probably saw the ridiculousness last year where they made me do 500 calls a day in one day. And then it became just that habit of making calls every day. And I honestly was like, this is stupid. I don't do cold calls. This is the type of business I want, but I'm just going to do it because I don't want to show up on my team call and be like, I let you guys down or I let myself down. And I just kept doing it. And then all of a sudden in 1 month, I had 5 listings. It was just insanity, but it was in those repetitions. All of a sudden, everything started showing up. Or maybe you guys have seen, yeah, go ahead.
Um, when I joined, I wasn't even a year in business. I was like about 10 months in business. I joined a team and Bold was like coming to our office like right after that. And I signed up for it. Didn't honestly know what I was signing up for, really. I just knew that like a bunch of people were talking about it and stuff. So I signed up and Matt was the coach then. I was basically right at a year in business when it actually started. And I mean, I had some business and everything going, like on my own before that. But it was, I mean, I really poured into it. I did it right. I, I mean, some of the people on my team and everything were like, they were just like poo-pooing like the whole process. And I was kind of like, you get out of things what you put into them. Like some of it might not be my favorite thing, but like I'm gonna do it right. and my business just like took off and like exploded. And the team leader actually started making everybody go to Bold after that. But I mean, I did tell her, I was like, it really has to deal with like some people's like mindset like around it too. Because if they're forced to do it, I don't know if they're, because she asked me my opinion. I was like, if they're forced to do it, I don't know if they're going to get the same, benefit out of it or not. But yeah, I mean, I did all, I called the people, I made my contacts, I did all the stuff. And I remember at one point being a little bit frustrated just because I was doing so much and I didn't feel like things were because this was like the beginning part of 2018. And I didn't feel like for how much work I was doing, I didn't feel like there was a lot. And I even remember the team leader being like, she's like, you're just planting seeds, like right now, like you're planting all these seeds. I kept on doing it. I believed in it. And I mean, by, the following year, I had like I don't know, like 130 something thousand in GCI. My first, 2018 was my first full year in business. So it was like my second full year in business. I had left the team, went all out on my own, first year by myself. And I mean, I really attribute a lot of it to the things that I did, that I learned in Bold and the things that I did.
Yeah, I love Bold. I think it's the concept of it is great in terms of really getting people into production. But you hit the nail on the head when you said you get out of it what you put into it. I think I've told this story before. I was terrified to make calls when I was in Bold. And so I used to dial a number that was 244-5611. If you're from Des Moines, you know this. It takes you to time and temperature and just gives you like today's time, the date is da 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 time, temperature. And I would call that and then just pretend to be talking to someone. That was how terrified I was to make phone calls. So obviously, Bold did not have the same impact for me that first round of Bold. Now the second round of Bold did, but you've got to actually do the work and put in the time. Again, those little 1% changes can make all the difference.
Yeah.
I like how he kind of analyzes the process itself as your system. So not necessarily techie, but just your system in itself, right? Getting up, making the phone calls, doing whatever. And then the goal is the results of that system. And you guys have heard this saying, I'm sure multiple times, but you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Now, a lot of you probably thought that meant your systems, like your follow-up boss, your CSU, whatever you've got going in the background, but that is actually just the processes that you have in place to get to your goals. If you don't have the processes in place, if you don't follow the steps to get to your goal, you can't reach the destination. I also love how he's just realistic in that you're going to have days that you don't do things. It's just going to happen. But his concept is make sure that as you are working through your goals and trying to get 1% better every day, that you never take more than 2 days off. Most of us, that's going to be the weekend, right? In terms of lead generation and those kind of things. But like, don't beat yourself if you fall off one day, but never take more than 2 days off. And I know I kind of already hit on this, but he really prefaced just becoming the person that you want to be now. There is a lot of science around your mindset and believing you are who you want to be. So telling yourself that you are already, we'll go back to that 48 transactions a year, right? For whatever reason, that 4 transactions a year or a month seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of people that they want to hit. So like, if you want to be the person that closes 4 transactions a month consistently, start believing you're that person. Start believing that you're capable. Because if you don't have that belief within yourself, it's never going to happen. You cannot override all this subconscious programming that you have. You have to believe that you're capable to do it. Um, I'm going to use Brad as an example here for Brad with EXPCon. Did you leave and just felt like freaking motivated to the moon, like you could do so much more than you're doing?
Yeah, to some extent. Yeah. It was interesting. Yeah.
But
I think, yeah. So,
I
yeah.
think sometimes putting yourself in that environment and what I've seen, and the reason I'm putting you in the spot here is that I've seen you posting more on social. I've seen you just being more active and creating things. I feel like, I'm hearing about things that you and Jen are doing with the investing side and all this exciting stuff. And I feel like it was just sort of sometimes you've got to put yourself in an environment where you can see the possibilities. Sometimes that's a conference, sometimes it's calls, sometimes it's getting in the right mastermind group, it can be the right coach, whatever. But I think that if you can't believe it yourself yet, then start putting yourself in the rooms where they will help you start to believe it for you. Woo. And then we talk a lot about the habit stacking, and just obviously habit stacking as a whole is like the multiplication of the habits, but also building habits off of habits. So maybe one of your habits is you always drink morning coffee. And so you can piggyback that with I pour my morning coffee, then I go down and I get in my CRM. Or every time that you walk in the door at night, you drop a gratitude text to your family or past client, right? Like an action that you take, just pair that up with a habit that you want to get better so that you can start anchoring. When I do this, I do that. And then eventually, like your identity will shift to the person that you're trying to be, the person that you believe that you're capable of being. So let's just talk through like if we were to get 1% better every day for 30 days, just 1% better, you guys, that's such a small, small change. What are things that you guys could do today? Action steps that you can start taking today to just be 1% better. This is the interactive part. Or better yet, like what are things that you guys are stuck on that you're not doing? If you can't think of something you can do to be 1% better, like what's something you're stuck on that we can help you think of how to be 1% better?
I would say for me, the biggest thing that I struggle with is the like visualization part of it. Um, it's just I don't know. I I think I've tried it before, which is a weird thing to say I think I've tried it before, but it just doesn't I don't know. It's just not something I'm like tuned in with, I guess. And so like trying to think about okay like you said like visualize like what it would be like if you had four transactions a year or a lot of like the self-help people they do talk about like visualizing the life that you want to have or the things you'd be doing if you had the life, things like that. And yeah, that's just something that I don't know, I struggle with, and I don't exactly know where to start or how to kind of build up the muscle, I guess, if you will, to start doing that.
Yeah, that one was really hard with for me. Like I started with meditations of like a minute or 2 minutes at a time, and they had to be guided to walk me through. I cannot just meditate on my own. It doesn't work. My mind goes to 500 different things. Um, and maybe for you, Ramil, do you think that the reason you have trouble visualizing is more that it just doesn't feel real to you? Or is it more around you can't slow down to do the visualization, to quiet yourself?
Um, I don't know, maybe a little bit of both. But probably just I would say more than the other, probably just like the realness of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just stuck in like right now, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
guess I really don't know how to explain it that well, but yeah, it's hard to think about future things, I guess.
Yeah, and I can resonate with that. And sometimes it's like it almost feels fake. Like affirmation sometimes can feel super fake in terms of like I am not that person. I don't believe
Mm.
that yet, right? And so there's a couple of things you can do, like just repetition of saying things to yourself can be helpful. Like I said, just starting with like really small guided visualizations. That can be really helpful. But I think the other thing that maybe even to just get you to twist your mind around it could be just observing people that are at where you want to be and start asking, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And just start taking note of that. And I think what you'll find is if you really pay attention to what people are doing, you'll be like, oh, I can do that. I can be that person. And it will make it resonate more with you. I don't think you necessarily like, I think believing and seeing yourself in the shoes of the person that you want to be, like that you're already that person, is going to look different for everybody. It's not necessarily sitting there like this and visualizing yourself walking and talking through that. Like that is definitely one way to get yourself there. But if it doesn't self resonate, like your subconscious knows it's not going to work for you. But I think if you can start looking like, what are people doing that I can do differently? And then you're going to start believing like, oh, that's all they do. I could do that. And then slowly you'll start believing like, I can do that. I can do that. I can be that person until it shifts into being that person. Because I don't know about you guys, I've talked to so many high producers, and when you talk to them, I'm not saying it's easy. It's messy. It takes consistency, but the general like guideline or the general activities that they're doing are things that we all could do. Most of the people that are very successful, it's not that they have some magic ability. It's that they've consistently practiced doing things and getting that better, a little bit better each day until they've perfected their craft. And then they've gotten really comfortable being bored and doing those monotonous tasks every day that get them to the end result.
I think that is the key right there. It's getting really comfortable just being bored and doing the same monotonous things every single day. It doesn't, whether it's making calls or getting up and working out in the morning or journaling or whatever it is, you have to be okay with the boring. That's if you talk to any high producer, any millionaire, any really successful person, they were not just chasing the new, oh, that looks fun, let's go do this. It's being okay doing the same boring things day in, day out, every single day.
Yeah. I agree with that. It is completely in the boring. And I wish there was some magic like I can sell you this or that, whatever. The truth is it's very much just do the things you need to do to get to your end goal. Make the calls, make the posts, follow up with people, have the contacts, let people know you're in real estate. Like it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. But obviously, it's not something that many people are willing to do because what's this? I can't even remember. What's the failure rate? How many people drop out of real estate in the first year or two, Audra?
3 out of 4
Three out of four
drop out by year 2.
by year two.
Mhm.
And I think like only what is it, like 87% or something are out in the first 5 years.
Yeah, of that 25% that's left, 80% is gone after or before year 5.
So most of you on here are unicorns. You did something right that's still keeping you here. Um, yeah, and I imagine that stat's going to go up after this year. I've heard from a lot of people this year, like, oh my gosh, it was so tough. It was the worst year. Um, but I think there's several of us on this call that actually had really good years because we just got back to the basics. We just jumped on and did the things that we knew we had to do to keep our business moving forward. Now, not saying like the market didn't shift and like if you had a little bit of a down year, you know, it's going to happen. But if you had like a really, really bad year, I would sit with yourself and ask, did you do the things that you needed to do to generate the business? Because there's a lot of
Well,
people.
I do struggle a little bit when people who are new, I mean, like not even new, when people who are not even in the business approach me about being in the business because, and my husband, who's not even in the business, I've talked to him about it and I said, I don't want to come off as like a Debbie Downer at all because like I freaking love this business. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But I also don't want to sugarcoat it so much that people don't think that they have to work if they get in. I mean, like that people think it's just going to be easy or something if they get in it.
Yeah.
But I know we're getting close on time, but one of the things I really, really struggle with doing, it's like the stuff like, it's the work I don't want to worry about, like but it's stuff like I have to do, like taking care of organizing like my taxes and things. I mean, I have a tax person, I have somebody who like does all that, but it's just like getting it all ready for them, like making sure that I'm not waiting till the last minute, like, and because if you don't have it all together, and then you don't have like the meetings aren't very productive, like when you do have meetings with them, because if you don't have all your ducks in a row, you can't really talk about what strategies and things that you can do. So I feel like I'm leaving a lot of money on the table because I don't have that as organized and as I should.
Yeah, that is one thing I'm thankful. My husband's an accountant and he kind of just implemented this process a few years ago of we use a accounting software called Zero, and every month we sit down and we reconcile everything that's in our accounts. And so I get to go into tax season and be like, whoo, here you go. Not,
Yeah.
wait, let me figure out what this was for, that was for, how to reckon. Because when there's been a couple times where we've gone 2 or 3 months before we reconciled, and then you're trying to remember what that charge was from 3 months ago, and you're like, I don't remember. Like, I guess we'll call it this. I don't know. Like trying to just like, or looking in 10 different spots to remember what that thing was for. So maybe that's your 1% better, Brooke, is that you can find some software that you can use, get everything hooked up, and then like actually just start scheduling time once a week, once a month, where you're reconciling everything that's in there. It takes me, if I do it monthly, it takes me about an hour.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
don't
and
know.
I hired a bookkeeper to get me all caught up because I was over a year behind. With full transparency, I was literally over a year behind, and and it was like, I mean, I had paid all the quarterly taxes and everything, but I still hadn't. I mean, we were getting close to the next year's taxes, and I hadn't even done the ones from the year before. So, and I had never been like that until I had my third child and got really, really busy in real estate. Like I always had my stuff turned in like the beginning of February. So kind of freaked me out.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Brooke. We figured out your 1%.
I know, and I have a meeting. I literally leave on Thursday to go to out of town, and I come back on Sunday, and I have a meeting on Tuesday morning with my tax person for our 2025. And I'm like, it's going to be a fun couple days getting all ready for that before I leave.
Hmm.
But if I would just work on it, like the rest of the time, I wouldn't be like scrambling at the end to do it. But she's got me a lot more caught up now because I hired her like, back in February. So,
Nice. Well, awesome, guys. I would just challenge you to really sit and think about like what is the thing that you can do to make yourself 1% better today, 1% better tomorrow, and then just start working through that. See what happens. Do 30 days by the end of the year. See what happens if you're consistent and just doing a small something to be 1% every day. All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you Wednesday.